Hardcore Unlimited. We are live on a Wednesday night, new comic book day, best day of the week. And this is the show that goes over all those awesome books that we've been reading, lets you know what's good, lets you know what we thought, lets you get a chance to interact with us, let us know what you thought. We got a special guest for you guys tonight. This show is going to be crazy good fun. I'm going to start off by saying hello to this guy, JD. How you doing, brother?
Very good, my good friend John. How are you?
You had a beast of a show last night, an epic show.
We had a show last night that I was very, very happy. If anybody gets a chance to watch a rewind of it, it's long, but you can, I would like to one day figure out how do people do those timeline things on a live show that we did already. I don't think I'm not capable to do that, but there are some segments in there that you're going to want to see. You're going to see some of the most amazing.
Everybody should definitely check out Golden Guys and then / Stranger Things last night, because there was a great cast, great information drop, and just a whole lot of fun.
I can't wait to watch Stranger Things. I love
part
that
one, and part one of probably a 3-part series. TJ and I are doing.
Oh, nice,
awesome, cool
on those kind of covers and trying to get. Maybe not so much get more people into it, but maybe this is something where, hey, I don't have the money for a pre-code horror, or I don't like this, but what is this world? It's cheap way to get Bernie Wrightson and Frazetta stuff.
That's awesome. Right? Yeah, I was really excited. I'm really excited to see TJ back, making videos again, and the return to Stranger Things. It's awesome. I'm looking forward to going back and watching that.
I could not be happier.
And then we got our man Jason, Comics Misexplained. My criminal brother. How we doing, man?
Good, man. Yeah. Busy day. Doing good. My pugs are driving me crazy. They're outside, like knocking on the glass, so I gotta let them in a second.
It's a big Rocky Four fan.
Is that Wind Band? What is that behind you?
Wind Hand. Yeah, they're like a doom band with kind of like clean singing vocals with a female vocalist. Really good stuff though. It's really heavy and really nice and haunting at the same time. But this is like they're live at Roadburn Festival 2014. Roadburn's like a fest in Europe. It's really awesome. I got to go one year, a couple years ago. It's kind of around Amsterdam, around there.
Okay, but like a Vampirella cover on that thing. I'm digging it.
Right? No, it's good. Yeah, check it out.
And then of course we've got the regular show Friday night guy. Seawood joining us, and he's wearing the right gear. Look at him; he's all geared up.
I haven't made the blue brand. What's going on, guys? Thanks for the invite for tonight. Happy to be here. I also like Rocky IV, Jason. It's all right. It's a hilarious movie. But you know what else I'm glad of?
Great.
Yeah, well, that one too.
Oh, he's Rocky IV. Yeah.
I'm also glad we got this chat in. Look at this chat, guys. We got the immortal Biggie Shack. He's clanging and banging in the chat, rolling down to Santa Monica. We got Comic Man Andy.
Having you here, brother.
In Baltimore. We got Old Wolf 65. What is going on? We got everybody's favorite slabber in the community, the Slab Dragon himself, TJ Watson. Looks like he's also watching some American Horror Story tonight. I definitely want to catch that new season as well, TJ. We got Marvel Hunter in the chat. What is going on, man? We also got, he's lurking, probably wearing that blue blazer. We got Perry Comics. We got Ben Compton in the chat. What is going on? Oh, it wouldn't be a Comic Horror live stream with old Chris Barrett in the chat. He says he's a Rocky 3 fan. Yeah, Clubber Lang, he's pretty sweet. He was my favorite Rocky villain. Drago's pretty awesome too, but he killed one too many boxers for me. And yeah, that's and we got
nice. Nice. Rocky Robot. Nice. Happy birthday, Paulie.
Yeah, happy birthday, Paulie. Yeah, and it comes with a cake too. It comes with a little cake.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Back's pretty cool.
I guess they have like sexy boy she switched to. I think she's into me.
I wish. They actually have figures of this Apollo and the Snow Rocky, and of course those two as well. I want to eventually get them all, but I had to get this one. That's the first one right away.
Let's film Cobra and then let's quickly do a Rocky thing so I can put this beard out.
There's actually talks.
It's so hysterical.
I think Stallone might even do a new Cobra soon.
Cobra would talks.
That'd be pretty cool.
Is this like Tango and Cash News next?
I mean, well, I don't know. Let's see.
Demolition Man, bring it back, man.
Oh man.
Hey, Crime was the disease. He was the cure. That was the
yeah, dude. That was the slogan. That was awesome. I made like a meme out of that for I forget what. I think it was for Garfield.
It was, oh my god, holy cow! So we got a fun show for you guys tonight. We're gonna run through some of the books for the week. We're gonna spend a little time talking about House of X because there's a big issue this week. It was one of the red band striped issues that they tagged at the beginning of the run in the back of each issue. And we're going to spend a little time on books that we read that we think might be spec-worthy, books that maybe you haven't heard of or maybe that you haven't thought of in a little while. And hopefully shout out some awesome channels because there's some awesome people flying through here. And then, hey, G.I. Joe, guys, dropped today. I'm doing that later on Book Club on Alex's channel, even if Old Wolf's going to pass on it to watch some Golden Guys replay. Whatever. We can't all love G.I. Joe, apparently, as much as I do. So, Jason, what have you been reading today? Have you had much time to read anything?
No, I didn't have time to read that much. I read the newest Batman, and then House of X, and one more, Absolute Carnage, and that was awesome.
And JD, what about you? Did you get a chance to read a whole lot?
House of X. I picked up Absolute Carnage, and I usually don't do this, but I was making a commitment today to either go and rip the Band-Aid off and go completely symbiote free.
No symbiotes, huh? Dude, the new was so good. That was a lot of fun, man.
I know. I just think it's the way it's saturated right now. It used to be cool to be a symbiote fan. Now it's like, okay. I mean, Venomize was one thing. It was an arc. It was based.
That's when I was done with it. It was like right before Venomize came out. I'm like, okay, this is too much. Like, I don't want to see Venom anymore.
Then Venomize came out, and I was like, okay. Once Venomize, and I understand Cullen Bunn wrote it, and some great artwork in there, and it's okay. Storyline, it's pretty good. It drags on, but then Donny Cates took on the Venom character, and we started to get more, and I got really into it with the Null. I got the paint, the Null, nice. Everything, I'm crazy about it.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting here going, and I sit back and says, unless it's a Null solo book or retcon of what the hell's going on with this whole Brock family.
Yeah.
Because I'm lost. Back to Lethal Protector and be like, this was so much more comfortable.
That was the whole reason I got Marvel Unlimited subscription, was to read all the old Venom comics. I wanted to read them all.
Oh, nice.
And yeah.
Oh, wait. Did you please tell me one arc you want to read, The Enemy Within?
Yeah. Absolutely. I have that one. Yeah.
Such a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
Who wrote that?
I don't remember, but I just remember it had some really good art, though.
I got it right here. I got that's all symbiote. I have a whole box. We can't see, but I have a whole box of symbiote books over there that I'm just going through.
Yeah, this was probably like 3 years ago, and I was like, this is gonna be awesome. Like, I'm excited to read all these. Like, there wasn't that many options for Venom on the Unlimited app at the time, and then
there weren't that many Venom books.
Yeah, and like, I guess like I started picking up Venom, and I was like, this isn't very good. It was like I forget who was writing it before Cates. I forget his name. But yeah, I was like, no, it wasn't Bond. He did some like
Costa, maybe.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Costa. I was like, I'm like not really digging this, and so then the Venomized thing came out, and I was like, okay, this is like too much. There's like this Venom everywhere. I'm like, okay, I'm done with this, and then I started reading other stuff, which was a good thing. Yeah. But then Cates is on. I was like, oh, cool, I like Cates. He's taking over Venom. That's awesome. This art looks great, and like I liked issue 1 and continue with the series. But this Carnage like thing going on, it's awesome. I'm just really into Carnage 2. It's been stellar, and if you want to just read the main issues, that's all you need. And it's only like, I think they're only doing 4 or 5 issues.
I'm not knocking. I am getting Absolute Carnage, and I'm going to finish this run.
Cool.
But I was sitting there tonight. I just put it back. When I looked to the left, I saw another Scream. I saw another one, and I'm like, this is worse than Flash Thompson. And I did not hate the Flash Thompson Venom or Agent Venom as, Agent Venom. I liked the premise because that's what it was built on when Cates took over, when he wrecked it, and you had the whole first host and everything else. That was the Vietnam. That's where you figure it came from. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect way to do it. It was just, I was getting, without that retconning, it annoyed me. Thank God for Cates for doing that.
Sure.
Because I've read everything again. But that was just my own thing. Other than that, House of X, we got into a little side
awesome.
symbiote talk, but I think it's inevitable. We're gonna get symbioted pretty crazy right now.
Well, yeah. And then Venom Island, I know, is coming and all that stuff later on.
We already have Krakoa.
See what have you read much today? Would you get through anything?
Well, I went from working nights to working days this week. So I went from just binge watching TV shows to actually binge reading digital comics now.
Yeah.
So I haven't been to the stores. I had no pull list this week. I didn't have it because I'm waiting for, like I was telling you guys before we started, I'm waiting for the House and Powers of X /10 hardcover because I fell off about 3 or 4 issues in just because I couldn't make it to the shop. So I'm like, I'm just going to get a nice hardcover. I'm going to read it all in one sitting, and it's going to be awesome. So since Friday, I have read 35 issues of the Jeff Johns Teen Titans.
Oh, wow.
I've been digging that. It's been since like 03 through 06 since I read those. So having a lot of fun reading that. I read Identity Crisis, the whole thing. I'm going to try to read all of the Crisis stories before, the big CW crossover.
Awesome.
I was like, because Identity Crisis ties into the Jeff Johns Teen Titans run a little bit, I'm like, I got to go read that. Or you find out what happens with Dr. Light and the mind wiping of the DC characters.
Yeah.
I got to read
meanwhile, you got who killed Sue Dibney. You have to figure out that whole
and that fight with Deathstroke.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Deathstroke
is amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. Like the way Meltzer writes Deathstroke in that is awesome. So, in my opinion, an underrated Crisis. I sat down and read the whole thing all in one. Like I thought it was. A lot of people don't like it for whatever reason. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it the second time I read it, which was last Friday. So, thumbs up to that. And I ended up reading a whole bunch of Marvel Unlimited because I started a week trial today. So
nice.
I wanted to get caught up on X-Men, kind of to see what was going on. Our friend in the community, the Uncanny Kyle Walker, highly suggested the previous Uncanny X-Men run, which I read like 4 or 5 issues of it. And I'm like, man, this run kind of sucks. So I fell off of it. But he's like, no, dude, you got to read it. Yeah, he's like, you got to read it from like issue 11 on up. And he's absolutely right. That issue 11 where you kind of see like the 3 points of view. It starts off with Cyclops, and then he like goes on the news and he's like, I need all mutants to meet me here so we can reform the X-Men basically. And then all the baddies show up, of course.
Yeah, the jump.
So it's like, there's like, looks like it's just the last X-Men. Then you see Snicked in the background, and then there's just bodies everywhere.
That was awesome. I really liked those.
That was one of the best X-Men books I've read for quite a while. So I definitely have to shout that scene out specifically.
Very cool.
And then the last read I had this week was I started reading the first half of the Tom King Vision story.
Okay.
Because everyone's just like, if you loved Mr. Miracle, you got to read Vision. And I'm like, all right, I finally got Marvel Unlimited, so I'm going to read Vision. I blasted through, I think, the first 6 issues today.
It's a different kind of story than I was ever used to with that. It actually, it felt like an indie.
It did. I agree 100%. I'm just like, we're going to see weird robot things happening, and his wife is just out of control so far.
Oh man, the Reaper. Oh, I love
it. The great.
He gives the neighbor the cookie tray back, and it looks like it just was smashed over someone's head. That's my favorite scene so far in that read.
One thing I started doing was going to the local shop and doing trades of the week and swapping them out with people and everything else. And this was the one I swapped out with somebody.
Oh, cool. That's Romita Jr., right?
I gave them this, and they just gave it back to me today.
That's the Romita Jr., right? Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, this is actually the Frank Miller and Romita. This is just the Man Without Fear issues 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I did it, because the guy says I want to get into Daredevil, because we were talking about Chip Zdarsky, but
get into him.
I said, if you want to know a true origin, I said the origin that I would consider the best origin story of Daredevil is this. Period. Best.
Tell him to read Born Again right after that.
Yeah, Born Again.
Born Again.
Before we get in, well, Born Again's because I like what's the one with the bullseye, and it's God, what's the name?
I don't know. Daredevil story ever.
So the Kevin Smith run?
Yes.
So you like you're talking about the Kevin Smith run?
The one that nobody likes, I loved.
I thought it was fun. I really enjoyed it, actually.
I love the Kingpin one. Was great. It was
I think that was
like,
tremendous.
Today,
Kevin Smith runs the death of Karen Page, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
No,
Yeah,
that Daredevil
good.
has a phenomenal run all the way through. You go from Kevin Smith to David Mack to Brian Bendis to Ed Brubaker. It's like
Mark
throughout,
Waid.
Back when the
Mark
Bendis
Waid
name meant
in
something.
that run.
yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately, A.D. Deagle wedges his name in there with that Shadowland garbage. But yeah, besides that, I mean, you get a
Shadowland is
phenomenal
fun.
run of a character.
Today on Comic Pop, that channel, they had like a live stream, and it was coming up with scenarios that would change the status quo in like a bad way, kind of like an easy kind of thing to keep stories running or going. And one of the jokes today was a sexy Kingpin. I thought that was really funny.
I like Sexy Kingpin. That sounds good.
I want to shout out to folks in the chat before we get to our second guest. We got Biggie Shack in the chat, Perry Comics, Chris Barrett, Jack Yo jumped in, Vu Hong, the great legend. Thank you for coming by, buddy.
Oh no, Slapland.
Oh man,
That was Mjolnir.
Slavalanche going on over there. Hashtag that Slavalanche in the chat.
Stay alive.
Comic Head 84.
Thank you. GPAP, we shouted out you in the chat. Thank you for coming by, everybody. You are really, really supporting us, and we appreciate that. And then we got this guy. Great videos on the Comic Core channel.
Yeah, dude.
Drew Manchu, Blue Eyes. How you doing?
Oh man, it's been a great new comic book day. I started my day off early. Took my daughter to school early, so she should get some things done extracurricularly, and then my day was spent reading comics. I got to the shop around 11, picked up my stuff, and spent the next 4 hours putting together that X-Men video today.
Which we're going to talk about.
I timed myself. The amount of time that it takes me to sit down, read a book, write down a script, shoot, edit, and then add animation over top of it is like exactly 4 hours for a 6.5 minute video.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, that's a lot of freaking work.
Yeah.
But I found it's a lot easier to do my editing if I sit down and write it all out ahead of time. So there is 4 hours of my day. You're welcome, community. You are welcome.
Well, the community wants to thank you.
I spent the rest of my day reading some really great stuff and some stuff that really wasn't that great as well.
Let's go.
Yeah. I'm not going to review this.
We're
We're going to call this hashtag still on the beach.
I can't believe we got another beach issue. Ridiculous, dude. It was
Magnum.
I can't believe I've got more thumbs down on my video shit in 178
oh my God,
than I have on anything I've ever done on YouTube.
I actually enjoyed this issue more than the last one, which isn't saying much, but like
there's actually punches in this one.
Yeah. She knocked out that one guy at the bar, but it was kind of fun, man. I kind of liked this issue, but it shouldn't be City of Bane. It should be called Bruce on the Beach. You know, it's like that's ridiculous.
Bane.
Son of a
Every time. So this City of Bane, 79 is way better than 78 was, and this is like a 1 out of 5. Just saying. Stop fucking doing that shit. Picked up this cover. This finally came out. Oh man, all glary. You got Crypto the Super Dog on there. That's pretty stuff there.
I don't bother if they do this Year of the Villain slap, even if it's just a hero cover. Like I kind of want it to be a villain cover. If you're gonna slap Year of the Villain giant,
I hate that banner. I've decided Year of the Villain is something that I'm completely ignoring.
I get it on a Catwoman cover or a Lex Luthor cover, but it's Supergirl and Crypto. It's kind of like
right. I'm loving Teen Titans still. This was good. I thought that was tasty. Justice League has got Commandy in it, so it's gone to the bottom of my stack. I haven't read it yet.
Oh man, I really want to read that. I'd read that. I really like
good.
Oh yeah, what do you think of the Doc Afra run?
I haven't read this issue yet, 36, but man, I love this story. I think she's probably the most complex and interesting Star Wars character right now.
Yeah.
She's awesome. Her droid sidekicks are awesome.
Yeah, the way they built it,
Evil Wookiee is awesome. The whole deal is good.
Yep.
Donny Cates is killing it on Guardians of the Galaxy. Read that. I thought that was good.
I'm waiting for that big Christmas thing. What's the deal with that? Anybody hear about that with Guardians and Christmas?
Guardians Christmas.
I haven't heard anything about Big Christmas.
You will.
All right, keeping my eyes and ears peeled for Big Christmas, so we can let you guys know what's up with Big Christmas.
Big Christmas.
That's what I call my unit, Big Christmas.
Ho ho ho!
It is the season to be giving. Absolute Carnage 3,
Yeah,
absolutely awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect Cap and Wolverine to start showing up in this.
Yeah, I like seeing Eddie Brock and Captain America shake hands. I thought that was
right.
Really cool.
I mean, you know, Eddie has done enough to earn Cap's respect over the years, and it's finally good to see it. History of the Marvel Universe Part 3. This one ends on the Phoenix Resurrection, so that'll let you know kind of chronologically where it is. Not really a story, but Mark Waid is doing a really great job keeping this kind of cohesive.
I want a hardcover of
really
it.
I think that it's going to come out in a hardcover version.
That'd be dope.
Just the other day, I picked up a big chunk of Marvel Universe indexes or whatever. It was like $10 for the whole thing. But they're all out there.
They are number one is now half off everywhere.
Yeah, this is a brand new.
They want everybody to have
doing it.
I mean,
and everybody should have it.
I want the Buscema one when that thing comes down.
I also picked up the Spider-Man #1.
Yeah, how was
it? I have not read this yet.
This is J.J. Abrams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Abrams and Son. So with Sarah Pachilli on the art, I flipped through it. It's a nice looking book, but I haven't had a chance to really give it a shot yet.
From what I hear,
it didn't automatically go on my pool, so I'm gonna go ahead and read it. And
from what I hear, it's like a pretty good, a decent Elseworlds. Apparently, maybe I guess some things don't really fit continuity wise. So I'm still really curious and excited to read it. So we'll find out.
We'll save these for Monday, but Multiple Comic Monday. I picked up 2 of these Daredevil Immortal covers.
I think that's the best variant.
Yeah, I thought they were sweet enough that it was worth picking up too. I thought that the Silver Surfer Black one was pretty cool.
I got one.
Venom one was
you don't get much Norrin Rad.
Right. Any character that really explores the duality of man in their kind of mythos, I think kind of works for the Immortal covers. And Daredevil being as torn as he is in all situations, kind of great to see his face torn from itself over and over.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing about the Unlimited show here. Drew just sounded eloquent. He used very big words. This is amazing. This is a Wednesday show.
Yeah. I also picked up this thing called House of X. I got every single.
Yeah, we should talk about that. What do you think?
We can talk about it if you want to talk about it.
I got some more books if we want to run through them first.
Let's go bed and do that. I'll show some of those covers when we get to it.
Did you guys read Flash Forward? I got it right here. Crisis.
I did not read Flash Forward. I picked up Flash Forward. I looked at it and it's from the Heroes of Pages in Crisis.
I know.
And I put that shit back on the shelf.
And I will tell you that you're not a Wally West fan because I'm a little bit upset that people want more Wally West. They want more Wally West. They go out, they make him his own, and you guys are like, nah, I don't want it. So you guys can't go and say they ruined Wally West. I love Wally West, and then not pick up his.
No, they ruined Wally West. I loved Wally West.
Yeah.
And now I know that it has something to do with how they ruined
like
Wally West.
Laker fan who said, "Oh, they're losing now, and I'm not a Laker fan anymore." That's baloney. I think
it's not about being a fair weather fan, John, as much as it is saying, "Hey, man, I love chocolate cake." I love chocolate cake. I love chocolate cake. But the next time somebody tries to sell me a chocolate cake, after the last time they sold me a chocolate cake and it was full of fucking turds, right? I'm not going to trust them with my chocolate cake anymore.
No, that's
Scott. I go through this every Friday. Don't worry about it.
It's a different writer. That's like saying, that chef makes a horrible chocolate cake, so I'm never going to eat chocolate cake again, dude. You can't claim to be a fan of this character and then bail on this and not even give the first issue a chance.
I gave them 12 issues of Heroes Crisis.
Fake
12 issues.
John, I like Doomsday Clock.
Look,
at least
there's
Jason
some other
read
stuff.
it and then made a comment, but Jason bought it and read it.
Right.
I started reading it. I didn't finish it, but it's written by Scott Lobdell, who I'm not really a fan of. I think his Red Hood's terrible. And and he's a huge, I guess, perpetrator to Dan DiDio and the New 52 Society.
Yeah,
is what I like to call him.
he's the put Arsenal in everything guy, right?
Yeah,
Lobdell,
and,
yeah.
and also now,
does
like
nothing
I
for
guess,
me.
like it opens up with like Fusionaut, which I'm pretty sure is a Dan DiDio creation. And I was like, okay, that's
a character.
Yeah, he's in Sideways, which is written by DiDio, and
Okay.
he was all about like bringing in Sideways to help with like the future of humanity and stuff. Like, but now apparently Wally West is the savior again for some reason. I don't know.
Look, man, if it's got sideways in it, you don't have to read it. That's just kind of how that works.
I mean,
Look, I am a big fan. I'm a big fan of cover copy. I love cover copy, and especially in like my DC Silver Age back issue pulls. Like if I'm digging through back issue bins, I'm not necessarily looking for a key issue. I'm not necessarily looking for something in particular. What I'm looking for is cover copy that makes me go, man, that's a cool issue. Now I'm going to crack that open and figure out what Superman and Lex Luthor are up to, or what's going on with Lana Lang, because I mean there's an exciting piece of cover copy that drags me into that book. But it also is a double-edged sword, because when you say things on your cover like you're the villain, I check out. When you say things on your cover like from the pages of a series that was absolute garbage, it has a negative connotation, and I'm not going to read it. A couple other things that I did read this week, though. I picked up some really great indies. Weatherman, this is fantastic. It should be on everybody's pull list.
I can't read it after the first issue killed the dog.
You know what? You got to get over the first two issues. Once you get to issue 3, it really starts to grab you, and I think that tears at your heartstrings so much that it really kept me invested, to be honest. New Middle West. This was fantastic.
I stopped reading that one. Sorry.
Oh well, you need to get back on it. It's a
I
tale.
gave it about 8 issues, and it's just got a little repetitive for me.
It did, but once you get to issue 10 and you meet the grandfather, you start to look at the father in a whole new light, and you start to realize that he's as much a victim of this cycle of abuse as he is a perpetrator of it.
Of course.
Yeah. And it's one of those books that has it's like high fantasy mixed with a cartoon presentation, and you don't expect it to have as much real world drama and character stuff in it as it does. And it's really a good book, in my opinion. I think that it's one of those books where each creator adds such a new level of professionalism to that book that I really love it. Black Hammer number 12.
I can't wait to read it.
Oh man, I can't wait to read it either. I didn't pick it up and read it yet.
Dude, that Justice League crossover is amazing. You reading the Justice League crossover?
I am reading the Justice League crossover. So I will be doing a review on that when the whole thing wraps up. And Once in Future, pick this up.
John was about to talk about, right, John? You were about to talk about that one earlier. Yeah.
This is really good. Once in
I
Future
number 1. I agree. This is a great read and a good follow-up to issue 1. Really, really cool. Man, badass.
I picked up a trade this week that I read that I've been meaning to get to, and that's this Gillen and Hahn guy trade number 1. Yeah. I really liked this.
Yeah.
Did not love it. So I'm going to say that right there.
Okay,
Did not love it. I think, I've got a lot to say about it. I'll probably do a review on the whole dang thing.
I think it's great, man.
I feel like the art style being one of its strongest points, it does not lend itself well to the action. That's all.
What is the issue it ended on? What was the ending?
Ending through 5, I believe.
What happened? What's going on in that story?
He made a split, and 2 of them take off.
Or was it the destruction of the Glass City? Was the end of that? I think.
Yeah.
The end was what's his name? They kill him, and then he comes back because he's one of the fallen. That's the end of it.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Sweet. Yeah.
I finally just caught up with that. Finally,
I dug it, man. It really drug me in, and was a really quick read. But like I said, the art style, which I think was probably the strongest point in the presentation of this book, was its design. It doesn't lend itself very well to action. And that's all I'll say is it's like some of the action is muddied through all the beautiful painting. And it's just, I just think that the story that it tells doesn't lend itself as well to the action as I kind of wanted it to. It became more about the characters, and I don't have a problem with that at all. But it just wasn't. If this was something I was reading in single issues, I probably would have stopped before I got through.
Really? Okay.
The fact that I got the whole arc and I sat down and I read it, I think that the story carried me through, and I'll probably pick up the second trade when it comes out. I'll be trade reading on this.
No, your response to it was my exact first response to it as well. My first issue off the bat, I was like, this art's amazing. Not really digging the story, but still curious. Next issue, I'm like, okay, this is much better.
And I think that the story, by the time I was 3 issues in, the story took over. The art fell away for me, and and it just kind of had I don't know why, but it kind of like shifted as far as how I weighted it. The book stayed like a solid 4.5 all the way through. I just think that the art, while it was initially the thing that I looked at and was like, okay, this is kind of cool, became kind of a detractor in a way. Not to say that I didn't really like it. It was really good, and I will be picking up the second trade.
I still think it's one of the best books like on the shelf. Yeah.
I also read this week, guys. This is the Pro.
Yeah, how is it?
Oh, nice.
How is
it? This is drivel. It's really poorly written, but it's just fun crap. It's just really fun crap. It's just it's a super powered hooker.
Is it Expendables 3 fun? Is it Expendables 3 like Expendables 3 fun that it's so bad that it's good?
It lives in that area. She is not a redeemable character. They try to redeem her in the end. But hey, my favorite thing about this is the backup story, where she has like a hand job competition with this chick with like all these arms coming out of her. She's like, you've got like an arm coming out of her skirt where her twat should be, and she's like she's using her super speed to beat dudes off, and this other chick's using like 8 hands at a time, and they're having a hand job competition. It's just that's the kind of book that it is.
Oh, wow.
If you like Ennis, you'll love this. If you're an Amanda Conner fan, you'll look at it and be like, okay, I get where she was coming from, but she's not right where she should be yet. This is probably a little too early in her career to judge as one of her better works. I would have preferred for this to be rendered by Amanda Conner now, not Amanda Conner 20 years ago. But it's a good book. It's worth reading. If you like stories about super jizz taking out planes when it finally goes off, bursts through the wall and takes out a plane.
This is Friday night. I don't want Chad to get mad at us for scaring away folk.
It's just this is a good book. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And if Chad has anything to say about it, just look him in the eye and say, "Hey, man, Nightwing 93."
Oh my god. Well, all right. Nobody's been talking about Dead Man Logan. This was issue 11.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed this.
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah. Great cameo from Mr. Sinister.
Oh, sweet.
Is that the final issue?
You get one more after this.
Okay.
You get him in House of X or whatever. You're getting him here. I liked this version a little bit more, in my opinion, but I didn't love the Powers version. I thought it was just kind of goofy.
Oh, it was hilarious. I loved it.
So I love that.
Super fab.
I love the ending of this. I will say in the middle, there's one of those classic comic book moments where like the hero is caught. There's no way out. And then it's like, quick, escape. And he cuts something and then they're all free. And they're out now. Now it's like a showdown. And it's not like you guys were just held by gunpoint a second ago and totally captured. And now 2 seconds later, 2 panels later, and you're out and it's free. And the villains didn't even notice that you could escape so easily. So it was one of those in the middle that I was like, you could see the villains almost going, oops.
Do you think he's trying to rush the ending? Do you think that they're trying to rush the ending now that it's almost done? Or
it definitely seems like they're flying to that ending. And there's again some cool fights, and then of course the final moment sets up the final issue. And I'm like, it's a reveal that I've been waiting for in this whole old man for a while.
See, I really enjoyed the first 6 issues of that, even though it was something that I thought that the last few had been a whole lot better. But that book became something that I did not expect it to be. It started off as, hey, we've got a 12-issue series. Wolverine's got a year left to live, 12 months to live. I thought it was kind of what does he do each month on his way out the door kind of book. And that's the way that the Solicits really sold it. And it became something that was a whole lot more fun, a whole lot more goofy. And then by the time it made its way to the Wasteland, to the end game of it all, I feel like it kind of meandered for too long.
I think there's some chunks in the middle there where a 9-issue run would have been way more effective.
Oh
yeah, I think if it was 6, it probably would have been a little bit more to the point too.
Yeah,
totally. Not to say I didn't have fun. I think Brisson's doing a good job telling that story, and he's it's kind of the last thing he's doing, because he was doing wasn't he doing he was doing a bunch of different X-Men titles.
Yeah, it was doing X-Men Red, I think, at the time.
And that kind of all got cut off when Hickman took over.
I mean, I'm excited to see the final issue.
I think it's been enjoyable.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun final issue, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm still reading Second Coming.
I'm excited to read that.
Dude, it's getting heavier. I wanted it to stay funny, and I'm kind of bummed that they're not keeping this sarcastic kind of edge to it. It's now like a little bit in your face, and I'm not enjoying that as much.
What's the writer's name again?
I don't even know. Russell?
Yeah, Mark Russell. That is awesome. The
first one was amazing. The second one pretty great. This one not my favorite.
The You're the Villain Joker one-off issue was written by him, and it's really good. We're going to see, I guess, a change in Joker sometime soon. I'm not sure what's happening with that, but
I heard there's going to be 3 of them.
Oh,
told us that for 8 years.
Three Riddlers. 12
Riddlers.
But it was really good. I love that writer. He did a great job with the Snagglepuss Chronicles. That was really worth checking out. I highly recommend that. And I hear those guys is really good too. Yeah, so I'm excited to read that.
I'm surprised JD didn't mention Valkyrie.
Yeah.
I know you're a Valkyrie fan.
Love that cover.
Yes, I was going to mention the Jason Aaron, but I ordered
this cover,
Hans variant. I ordered that, and it didn't come today.
And I thought it was a great issue, a huge kind of like Heimdall praise, like a little bit of a love for the character of Heimdall in a kind of cool way.
Been around a long time. Yeah.
And then tonight, of course, G.I. Joe.
Yep.
Book Club G.I. Joe. Now, we wanted to talk a little bit about House of X tonight.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we brought on the Mr. Drew Manchu, because he is a guy who's been dropping some great videos on the Comic Core about House and Powers and this incredible run. This is a game-changing issue. Now, if you haven't read it, we're going to probably spoil some portions of it. And I understand if you're like, oh, I want to watch this after I've read the issue, it's fine. We're going to try not to, but we're going to talk about the larger scale Marvel implications of this issue, because the truth is there's some big possibilities in the future. JD, before we went live, said this feels like the biggest issue that Marvel has made in a very long time, the most significant as far as the implications in the future.
Right. I want to combine this with the other topics we talk about with our reading and everything else. What are the game changers do you think there have been? It could be single issues or single arcs. I always say there are 3 that in my lifetime changed my personal readings and what I was reading at the time. Obviously, the Alan Moore Swamp Thing, but I didn't buy that live because I was a little too young at the time. But when I went back and read it, that was one. But ones I was reading that was getting on the shelf, Infinity Gauntlet, absolutely. That changed because now we had Infinity Stones, and that kind of became into Infinity Watch, Wars, Secret Wars was one. But one of the ones I wanted to play was Civil War. And I was thinking today after I made that comment, but I was thinking over here and I was going through, outside of Civil War, the last Civil War, which then led into this, the whole Secret Invasion debacle. It just happens to be the Secret War, Civil War ends into Secret War right there. This issue is going to be that implicated where it's the switch. You have Jonathan Hickman just did the switch. He retconned. He can retcon right now every mutant that they've done. He can retcon them, and we will like him for doing it for the first time.
He's a genius, in my opinion. I love it.
This what?
I said, I think he's a genius, man. I
didn't think this was possible.
Yeah.
I mean, is anybody a Seinfeld fan? The reference I was thinking of, and this is it, was when George and Jerry figured out a way when, they were doing like the threesome with the girl. So they had a threesome. He wanted to get out. He wanted to go out with the roommate. Jerry wanted to go out with the roommate. So he figured out a way that Jerry said, how can you do the roommate switch? The only way to do it was to try to convince her to have a threesome, and then she ended up wanting to be into it, and he didn't know what to do. But George goes, I got it. And that's exactly what I think Jonathan Hickman did. He literally sat there and said, I got it. I got it right there. I found a way I can retcon, bring back everything that I like, being Jonathan Hickman, Claremont. I mean, they're back. They're back and they're badass. And they're Krakoa. That's about it. The game changer, though.
So for me, like, there's two questions that kind of I was left dealing with after reading this issue. There's a resurrection element for those that haven't read this issue, and it's kind of like significant going forward. The implications of being able to do this at any point with any character potentially that's been codexed or whatever by the Mr. Sinister DNA crew. Mm-hmm. The implications were, firstly, that in most significant ways, or in some significant ways, these are not the same people, right? There's definitely an implication that now we've got alternate versions, like carbon copies. I mean, I know that they talk about like the consciousness that's being put in and the DNA strand and all these things, but like,
but multiplicity proves that it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
At the same time, Marvel history proves that it is going to work out because it's the exact same way.
It won't work out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like it's the exact same way that Tony Stark was cloned and given his own consciousness back in the Iron Man run that just started again. So
Tony Stark Iron Man,
yeah, Tony Stark
which is ending, by the way,
basically a clone shell with Tony Stark's intellect and personality imprinted.
It's ending in December. They abruptly are ending that thing. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's for the way that it works. Like John, you said you had two questions. That was one of them. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just the concern was like, at what point are we splintering it? Obviously, at any point you could say that Xavier is messing with the memories and he's altering them to make the person that he wants them to be. So
that's cool.
The power is on Xavier, and how much do we trust Xavier? Is he going to say like, oh, Cyclops isn't really agreeing with me right now. I'm going to have somebody bump him off, and I'm going to put back the Cyclops I want to have, and remake that side. The amount of power being left to Xavier, who looks very much like a cult figure in this whole run.
Yeah, right now I think Xavier has too much integrity to change that. He loves his X-Men very much. But you're right. I mean, that could be an implication in the future. That'd be really cool to see. I'd actually really, really like to see that. That's
a question, right?
For me, this issue, it was important as well. But for me, it was more like a celebratory victory issue. It was just very prideful and powerful issue as well. Yeah,
the mother mold or whatever, right? The destruction of the.
Well, they've changed. But at the same point in time, they've remained the same. I think Charles Xavier is still the same.
Mm-hmm. I
think he's still the same.
It's the unreliable narrator. How much do we trust this cult leader?
But I don't think because of the experiences this one doesn't have felt. Even though he can remember them, he hasn't felt them. It's different. I think that's what you're going to find out.
Okay,
because it makes sense that way. I mean, they can really link this into every single arc. They can link them together.
Right.
Want to do another big thing, big event? You somehow make this the next catalyst. I.e., let's be honest, Star Wars did it already. It's called the Clone Wars. Let's call it.
So my other concern, though, is it's the same as the time travel thing in Endgame. At what point is this the solution to every problem that ever arises in the future for these comic book characters? Billy died last week in that powerful issue of X Factor. Hey, let's go bring him back next week, and we can do that. No big deal. It's the same with the time travel Endgame. Don't they have that technology permanently to fix any problem in any future Avengers movie?
They do. But at the same time, I would say that Hickman isn't a hack. You're not going to see that from him.
But we're not back to the
wait.
metaphor. The chef metaphor would say, what about the next crappy chef that comes along? That
I agree, and I was just getting ready to say that doesn't mean that somebody else won't hack it up in the future. But what I will say about these replicants, right, is they are
Blade Runner now.
They are 100% genetically those people, right? They are 100% imprinted from a blank shell with their own personalities that Charles Xavier has curated. Now, whether or not you think that he's going to properly curate them, that's neither here nor there at the moment. At the moment,
it's his version.
It is a recreation of Cyclops, who the second that his essence stopped being, that copy was put right into his own body. His first question after his suicide mission is, did it work? Now, it's the first words out of his mouth.
So they're Cylons.
But it's not the second of his death.
We had this in be at Battlestar Galactica
every 7 days.
The exact plot of Battlestar Galactica.
He's not linked to him when he dies and sucking his mind in. He's using the version before they left on their mission.
Right. I'll give you that. But also the larger implications of this, I don't think are so much what they're going to do with the ability to resurrect people after they die in the future. The larger implications for me is, ooh, they're bringing Banshee back.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait a second.
You're having people back that we haven't seen
Thunderbird? We're gonna get
70s.
Thunderbird? Like, we're gonna get these characters throughout the
the 70s ones. The ones way back there. They were weird ones. You know?
Right. Part of the reason
why they were mutants
happened is because in the 90s, when the X-Men were at their most viable, every single creator created 12 new X-Men every issue.
Right.
There was a new mutant every other day. And I think that even the second that they brought the 5 in, you knew that something was going to happen. I didn't know immediately it was going to be resurrection.
Dun, dun, dun. New mutants are coming, and Gideons, and all sorts of stuff.
The minute that Gold Ball showed up, I was like, oh, shit. It is Bendis era X-Men in the house. We're going to be getting every single character that the X fans have been begging for. There are, everybody wants to say that the last 10 years of X-Men publications, or basically the last almost 20 years from when Morrison was doing his run, everybody's like, even in the lead up to this thing, they're like, yeah, that's the last time the X-Men were good. Bullshit. Bullshit.
Uncanny was great. Uncanny was great.
All new X-Men was good.
Astonishing.
Haven't had the kind of support from editorial to allow them to flourish in the way that we want them to. And
all new X-Men was good, man. I love that.
I agree.
It's fun.
The Uncanny Run where we get Elixir and Gold Balls and Eva Bell. All of the characters that are part of the 5, with the exception of Hope and Proteus, they all come from that Bendis run of X-Men. And the fact that he went back to that run and picked up some characters like, hey, Gold Balls? I'm like, yeah, I know.
But not just make him have a cameo. Make Gold Balls, like that they mean something now.
Yeah.
His balls mean something. His balls
mean something.
His balls brought Wolverine back from the dead. Can your balls do that? I bet they can't. But my whole deal is that the moment that those characters come into play, you realize that Hickman is not ignoring that stuff, that Hickman is doing his own thing, but he's going to give you little sprinkles of the shit that you loved all along throughout.
Right.
I think that is fantastic. And I also think that it's fantastic then knowing at the end that not only does that mean we are going to get every hero that you ever wanted in this run,
the baddies,
every villain that you ever wanted in this run. I think that the moment that he's like, that Wolverine says, not everybody deserves a second chance. You didn't even have
that's such a great, that's what I was going to go next.
Right. You know then and there that all the villains are getting the invite. Like everybody's coming to the party.
Doors open.
Who are you to judge? Right.
Right.
Now,
everybody's going to have their own opportunity to screw up.
And that's exactly what Charles says he wants.
Right.
Yeah. He said all mutants are welcome here, like everyone.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a chance to get a little do-over. So I just think
let's talk about one good thing about this book that I don't think.
Well, one more note before we move on. I think that this whole deal is everybody has been saying to themselves, "What is Hickman doing? What's going on? What are we going to get out of this story?" What we're getting out of this story is we're getting a 12-issue maxi that completely breaks down everything and rebuilds it as like an alpha to his ongoing universe. It's not going to be a singularized story in House and Powers in one book. All it is a prologue to what we're going to be getting. And in that respect, I think
I'm not sure about that because like you said in an interview that his X-Men title coming out, they're going to be like one-off stories. like one and done. And
Yeah,
so I think,
Right.
yeah.
I think that all is going to come out of what he sets up here.
Oh, no doubt,
I
no
think
doubt, for
that
sure. I mean, without
Marauders
doubt,
is
but
gonna
I
come
feel
out
like
of it
this
the
is
same
going to be
way
the most
Excalibur's gonna
exciting.
come out of it.
We're going to see the X-Men, like, is going to be this, you know what I mean? And this sets the ground rules and everything for the future of his X-Men, but I think it's not going to get any more exciting than what's happening here. You know, that's what I
tend to
fear.
disagree. I think that this is set up to give you enemies on the inside and enemies on the outside. It's definitely set up so that Mr. Sinister is going to be the big bad.
Yeah, I mean, we know he's going to portray them and mess up. It said earlier
he did in the last
yeah.
life. There might be a way to keep him from doing it in this
And
life.
now there's
We'll find
implications of changing, which we saw in the future. There's different mutants with combination of powers. It'd be really cool to see, like, modern day, like, not in the future, but like Wolverine against like all these other amalgamations of powers. You know what I mean?
We're also
opportunities for
setting up
badass
Wakanda.
ones and good guys. Yeah,
They also
they're
did a great job setting up Wakanda as the other superpower in the world that they're going to be going against.
Which is,
I think that does not bode well for Black Panther and his spear wielding friends. They can
there's a new
that they want, but the immortal X-Men are coming to chop them the fuck up.
That's be awesome.
I'm super ready for that.
I can't wait.
Right.
I want to see that war right now, like against Wakanda, against the mutants.
Before you guys get going, I'm going to jump out. I'm going to get over to my G.I. Joe chat.
All right.
Wood, it's nice having you, but I'm sorry that we're not giving you much to do tonight, brother.
Oh, that's fine. Just happy to be here. Smiling, reading the chat. Legends cracking me up over there.
Legends is playing it out there. All right, I'm going to leave. You guys can do your thing. Drew, thanks for coming.
Hey, having me.
I'll see you guys next week.
See you, John.
Later.
Later, John.
Rocky Four fan.
One of the things about this Hickman run, I don't think
Here you go, Drew.
I hear a lot of people talk about the dialogue, the one-on-one dialogue between the characters that have taken place here. The one-on-ones. This is very much a very different. This isn't a group talking to a group a lot of times. This is 90% of this has been, whether it's Charles and Magneto or player A, player B. I don't want to give out too many spoilers or who's doing the one-on-one talk. They're people that you would not normally think that they'd be one-on-one talking, and they're not fighting, and they're villains, and they're discussing how a come together that's coming place for everybody. But the one-on-one dialogue throughout this series, I went back and I started reading them again, just to see if it's been a theme throughout, which is where I think is where you're going with where I was going with that was the one-off storylines on the new X-Men will be one-offs, much like his one-on-ones will be the one-on-ones that we will see going forward. Mm-hmm. I think that's how he's going to do it, because he's just amazing at that. If you ever read any of his other stuff, his older stuff, it was always a one-on, it's always dialogue based, it's action, but whoever draws it and everything else, but it's always been a one-on-one dialogue. It's not really a group of major events and explosions can happen all they want, but the one-on-one.
Did you guys decode the messages at the end?
I haven't done that yet.
I didn't know how to do that.
It says next for the children. I was like, oh, like Wu-Tang.
Yeah, Wu-Tang.
Then it says, then I am not ashamed of what I am. So I'm not sure what that means. I am not ashamed of what I am. So
wait a minute.
Maybe.
I think a lot of it has to do with Xavier kind of baseline selling his soul to find unity in the mutants. He knows that Sinister is not a good guy.
Yeah.
Right?
And
he knows that Apocalypse is not a good guy, but we get a handshake agreement.
That look he gave when Magneto and him were talking, and he says they should have killed us when they had a chance, and then it kind of zooms in on his face, the next panel. And I wasn't sure if
smirk.
I think it was a smirk. I think it was a smile smirk, because before he had pretty much a grimace in the other two panels, and that one he's like kind of, it's more upwards. But I wasn't sure. At first I took it as like maybe he's second questioning himself. Then I'm like, I think that's a smirk. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he knows that he's big dick swinging at this point, and there's really nothing that they can do to take him out.
Yeah.
Give me the Emma Frost dialogue, right? I mean, the Emma Frost conversation when she's there. Cool. That was weird, though.
A little bit, yeah. She says, what are your I guess he has plans for her in the future.
She wants to be made a governor, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I got something in mind for you."
Yeah,
and you know what? I think my favorite part of that conversation was when he's like, "Okay, these guys didn't decide to do this on their own," and she's like, "Well, are you accusing me of something?" And his response to her is like, no, when you coerce somebody to do something that they don't want to do, that will take a personal toll on your own self.
Yeah.
And thank you for your
thank
sacrifice.
You for doing it. Yeah, that was
right.
awesome.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Right. Is like the more villainous that you become, the less control you have over how villainous you will be. And I think that is a lot of foreshadowing, knowing that he has her set for a bigger role and that he considers what she has done here to be a personal sacrifice for their goals. I think that we're going to see her develop in a different way.
I think she first said she wanted a province.
Yeah, make me a governor of a province.
Yeah.
He
says, I have better plans for you. So I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I think she's the best representative they can have. You know what I mean? As we saw how she freed Sabretooth, so there's so many things that she could do.
I honestly think that this is one of those, we're fortunate times that this is a quick arc. I'm glad it's going to be, because I think we only have just the next issue, and then there's a prologue issue. Is that it?
We're getting, it's 12 issues altogether. So there's one more issue of House, and there's 2 more issues of Powers. The next issue that comes down is Powers 5. Then we're getting House. Then we're getting House 6, and then Powers 6.
Right. Okay, I want to make sure that.
I mean, you're talking 12 weeks, and this thing has flown by.
Dude, really
every time
dude,
this issue comes out, or these stories come out. It's just like, holy shit, there's another one. Holy shit, there's another one. And you're not going to be able to maintain that forever.
Shit.
I'm always so excited too, man. I can't wait to read every issue, man. And it's my first one I always read because it's just so thick. You know what I mean? It's a powerful, like, thick read. It's like reading a book or something. It's a meal. It's a hearty meal. You sit down and concentrate when you're gonna start reading it. It's not just like a flyby look at pretty pictures and all. That's kind of funny.
Well, there are a lot of ads in this.
Serious business.
Do you guys read the infographics as you go, or do you wait until you're done the issue and go back?
I read everything. Yeah, no,
I try to go back and get the references more. And
I will. I'll go back, and I'll tell you this much: it's like I had a lot of questions about.
I'm too old to read that stuff. It's got I get a magnifying glass.
And when you go back and you read those infographics, the dude did his homework. Everything is redundant. Everything has, like, every loophole is closed. Anything that is there as a loophole is designed to be there as a loophole. And
like I said, he built the retcon, the forever
right. And he also,
we could accept it.
Right. It was like the sinister rumors that he gave us last week and the Powers issue. He gave us the solicits for the next 3 years of X-Men comics.
Right.
Just by being like, hey, here are these guys. They're not what you think they are. Let's find out
what did you think about the power of Cerebro now, and the fact that Charles realizes it was a lot, or I guess they realize it's a lot more than just, it's not just a locator. What did he really mean? Because that led directly into the Emma Frost conversation.
That's what he's using. Right. That's what he's using as a tool to catalog all the personalities. His mind's not going to be able to handle that by itself.
Well, he had storage houses. He had a bunch of different places.
Is he grabbing
the exact line?
It's his interpretation, though, of the personality.
Well, he has their personalities, I think, like cataloged, and different countries, different like warehouses. But also he uses Cerebro mostly for the transition part of it.
Redundant cradles located in several locations across the world. The backups are the essence of each mutant. How they think, how they feel, their memories, their very being.
Like, I think his helmet's like the needle. You know what I mean?
Right.
But my question is he getting their personalities, and that's going to the machine? Because it could be his interpretation of their personalities too that we're seeing, which is the true house of.
I think that he pulls that. I think the House of X, yes, is the pool of these personalities, and I like the way that you see that title there. It also says at the end during the scale of the resurrection, right? It says that, they can top down around 1,000 mutants a week, or around 200 a day. The estimated population on Earth is around 100,000 and growing. Deceased and depowered mutants come to 16 million. primarily from Genosha, right? And it does say at the end of here, the complication here is that Xavier would have to download / resurrect 6,000 minds a day, which he is not capable of. By that time, there will need to be a workaround or a team of telepaths trained to properly use Cerebro. That's where Emma's going to come in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those cuckoo.
That's the house that we're talking about.
And I think that that's where her villainy will come in. And I think that that's where we'll get a schism between these X-Men, because some of these will be born with Emma Frost vision in their head. Some of them will be born with Xavier vision in their
I liked their clone rules where they were like, okay, well, we have to know they're dead for like a month for sure before we make another one. I was
in the future, I also
Dude.
like in the future there will be a team to investigate these.
Yeah, I'm like Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Sure, give me that book.
Yeah, give me Blade Runner. Exactly. I want to see like some Ed Brubaker written like.
So you've got a replicant trackers. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Deckard. All right. What's it?
Totally.
Who's gonna be Deckard? You know.
Dude, I want to see a series written like that, written by Brubaker. I could like read that like all day, every day. It'd be amazing.
But you do see that Hickman hits on everything that I liked about, like, you know, if you think about it, you got the Battlestar Galactica references in there, and they're there, you know, they're gone, they go into the next one, it's a Cylon whole thing going on. I'm not saying there's Cylons, I'm saying Cylons were people too. It's kind of like mutants, according to them. Fucking toasters. And then the other one you had was you kind of think that this was it brought back things that from a lot of them, like the 90s and everything, all into one. I think it's really cool the way they do in this one. I think this is probably the best work on X-Men since I'm going to say it's all new X-Men, but I kind of like a few of the Uncanny later issues too.
I feel like they've done everything they can to address all the mysteries that they've put out so far. I think that we're at a point now where we're 3 issues from the end of this 12-issue series. This was definitely the first issue and the end of this story, and they've wrapped up everything from issue 1 of House of X. The pod people got explained. The importance of the pharmaceuticals has been pretty much handled. The UN vote was handled, and we know now who stands against mutants. Sure, that could we get a little bit of information that says that this could change moving forward. More opposition could be seen, but as a little
Russian influence right there, I think.
Right. This is the opponents to what we're doing here. We pull in all the villains, so the team is set. I think that the next couple issues are really going to set up what the big story will be moving forward through all the new X titles. I don't think we're going to get a huge resolution in this book, which is kind of disappointing considering all of the setup that they've done. But I think that this whole thing is meant to set up that Dawn of X story arc, which is going to carry through New Mutants, Marauders, X-Men, X-Force, that weird Psylocke ninja book. That it doesn't matter what they're going to be doing. There's going to be something tied in through all those stories. I think that they've really given Hickman the reins to work on this overarching thing, and everybody's going to fall in line, and it's going to be pretty darn good, man. I can't wait. I really can't wait.
I'm excited to see how they wrap up the ascending thing, like their end goal, you know, is
you know what? I'm still a little bit on the fence as to what they're doing there. I have a couple of ideas, but none of them really pan out to be anything huge, in my opinion. And I think they're going to do something bigger with it than that.
Give me a cooperative team you think the next thing could work with. What?
See, now I think that the Excalibur team that we're seeing so far, which has Psylocke as Captain Britain of some sort with the sword.
Whatever. Braddock is a Braddock. Whatever.
Right. We've got Captain Britain's on that team, but Apocalypse is also on that team. And I think that them being initially a kind of interdimensional team, the original Excalibur, we're going to get a lot more of that Krakoa origin story in that book.
Okay. Oh, we might see the war happen, you know.
Well, there was a Krakoa. There was a book. There was a Journey into Mystery recently. recent Journey Mystery that talks about the island of Krakoa, which about the bomb that went off and explosions and how it's very specific. And that
there's also a page in Marvel Comics 1000 about Apocalypse and lamenting the loss of his original Horseman.
Oh, cool. Nice.
And there's definitely stuff in the last issue about how if he could have his original Horseman back, he would. That's in the Sinister Files.
That's
so
awesome.
I think the search for the original Horseman is going to be something that he does.
In the back of the issue too, we have those red highlighted issues. This was one of them. The other one was Myra McTaggart one previously, and then there's one more coming. And I'm excited to see what that is. And I think they also have to deal with Franklin Richards too, that situation which they talked about in issue 1
That's
or 2.
The only thing in issue 1 that they haven't gone back to is like what's the difference between an Omega mutant being with him and being against them.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll pull that in. I can't wait for any of it. Really.
It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, Franklin
would wake up every morning and had a new Hickman X-Men book in front of me.
Yeah.
The Franklin factor, I think, is going to be where they're going to have to do something with this X-Men to keep this momentum going, because you're going to have the whole cosmic world thing going on at Marvel. You've got a new Spidey run, the J.J. Abrams run. You know, you got everything going on. So it's just interesting. I wonder where they're going to go with X-Men. Are they going to make a crossover? Are they going to? What's the next big thing they're going to do in December? Yeah.
I mean, it feels like the mid '90s again. Every time you walk into a store, if you're in Target and you're in the action figure aisle, there's X-Men action figures out there. You're talking about walking into your LCS and everything's X-Men everywhere.
Yeah,
it feels very nostalgic, but also super fresh and new all at the same time.
For sure.
And
it kind of bums me out. I don't think we're going to see any of this implications of what Hickman's doing in the larger Marvel universe just yet. I think it's going to take a minute before we see, some of the history that's happening in Marvel having implications into the Marvel universe. I like, once again, the resurrection of certain villains and, heroes other than mutants that are in X-Men titles. I'll be excited to see other stuff, but I mean, I guess maybe it's
because there are certain villains you wouldn't want to give this. I mean, imagine this power in, not knocking bad guys in X-Men and all, but just imagine this power in Dr. Doom's hands. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Game
he
over.
would just make copies of himself with other powers constantly. I just want to see more with Wakanda. Yeah.
There's no problem with Latveria as described in any of this information, because Doom he's not T'Challa. He's not dumb enough to think.
Well, no, it says they have a problem with Latveria. I thought
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
No, what I saw in here is like it's all.
But I think it said ideologically, maybe.
I want more Doom stuff, because I think that's what they got to do.
Latveria is a political issue.
Political issue.
Political issue. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. But Wakanda,
the other one is
they don't need these mutant drugs, and they're wrong. He's going to need all the medicine when they come kick his freaking.
Did you hear there's a new Black Panther in the comics is going to a new group called Agents of Wakanda?
Yeah. I think that brand is from Avengers.
Yeah, that's from the Aaron.
That's from Aaron's Avengers, right?
Right.
They have this thing in there. I mean, it's a great team. I mean, it's a bizarre team.
That Gorilla Man's a bad guy, though. He's a
Gorilla Man
agent.
He's a little.
He's a sleeper agent. Yeah.
Yep, and then that's what they're doing.
He's mad that got kicked off Agents of Atlas because he's not Asian.
That's true. So it's just good stuff. And then I was still thinking that might cross over somehow.
Yeah.
But we'll see, man. I honestly I can't wait to see what this is moving forward. I think that I've loved every single issue of House and Powers. I set myself up for disappointment by being super psyched about a Hickman run. I love Hickman stuff.
Some people deliver, yeah.
And yeah, man, he had no problem delivering.
Yeah, some people deliver. I will say that. I mean,
I expect DC to throw a shit.
Like
make Superman readable again.
Yes,
I think Bendis. Bendis is one of those that every time you hear Bendis on a title, you want to buy it because you're just like, God, it could be good, like his good stuff.
Disappeared.
And really,
his DC stuff started showing
like
up.
Playing roulette. It's not even. It's Russian roulette. It's Bendis roulette. We'll call it
Russian roulette, and all the barrels are loaded.
Yeah. The last thing I liked at Bendis was that Superior that was called. I think it was Invincible Iron Man actually. with the
Iron
Doom
Man was
Iron Man
good.
version. That was a lot of fun until like the
Yes.
ending. I think that's when he left for Marvel. He was like, "See ya later. I'm just gonna wrap this up."
Right. He did Infamous and International, which were both
Didn't he
good.
do Dark Avengers?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
He did a lot of really great stuff before
Yeah.
he fell
That's
off.
great. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that's ridiculous.
I mean, even just this planning out Secret Invasion is such a large task, and I
he
enjoyed that
did
for the most part.
Eternals run too.
I loved his X-Men runs. I thought that All New was great. Uncanny was a great like companion piece to it. And even though he didn't write it, he had a lot of the editorial story break on the stories that made Wolverine and the X-Men by Jason Aaron such a great book, because that it all spun out of Schism and
Very depressing, but very good.
he was working one side of it and letting Aaron work the other. And I think that, like, I loved that Wolverine and the X-Men, probably my favorite X-Men run.
Yeah.
Just when Bendis would bring up Wolverine, Aaron would just kill him. Just
I can't wait for Quentin Quire to show up more in Hickman stuff, because I know he's gonna have
That'd be good.
great job for Quentin to do.
So, all right, that was good.
Yeah,
We probably should and
wrap it up. Hmm.
John's going to be doing his GI Joe.
Yeah, they're on right now, actually.
All right, so
That's where half our viewers went.
that. Thank you two guys for joining us, C. Woodard and Drew Manchu.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity to monopolize conversation.
That's okay. You're good at it. We like
Hey,
when you
man.
have it on. We like having you on. Thank you all very much. And remember what you got here. Remember what you know, and knowing is half the battle. Yo, Joe.
Snick, baby.
Cobra!